Good evening, Humanities 101. Hope everybody's doing well. I know that midterm times, everybody is a little on edge. That is understandable. So I just wanted to check in with everyone tonight and answer any questions that people might have. Talk about my timeline for um, the midterm, uh, grading the midterm, getting back grades, all of that fun stuff, and then we'll work into the final. I see everybody checking in. Hello, hello, hello. So midterm, I have been getting all the submissions. Hopefully, if you went through the submission website, you should have gotten a response email. If you did submit through the submission website and did not get a response email, please let me know so that I can double check and make sure that your submission came through. I'm sorry. Um, the grading will happen probably this week. I'm hoping within the next week to get to as many projects as I can. I have not started to grade the projects yet, as they came in last week, and I was gone all weekend. So, as I mentioned to you that I would not be in the states or in the state, I was in the United States. I just wasn't in this state. Um, and so I did post one of the little sites that I had visited on my trip, um, and then I'll be posting some more as I work on those. But grading your projects is the first order of business. So I'll be dealing with that in the next week. I will be posting kind of a midterm grade onto your. If you're a credit student, I'll be posting that through the school resources. If you're a non-credit student, I should be sending you an email. Um, and again, if people sent emails to me directly, if you sent your projects to me directly, I did not give you a response email. But if you went through the submission page, then you should have received a response email. Again, this whole process is going to have, you know, uh, little, you know, sticking points as we go throughout the semesters. There's going to be issues. So if if you find out that your submission didn't come through or whatever, just send me an email. All right, doc at humanities 101 .org. That will be fine. I can double check on that. But I will send out an email to everyone class wide and once I have graded all the submissions that I have. So that way everyone will know, hey, if I didn't get an email grade at this time, you can contact me. All right. Again, I'm not going to be searching out to punish people. The system is going to have kinks. Okay. Um, and okay, so some people say they went through the submission page and no response email. Okay. So I will check on this. Okay. I can't keep up on all the comments as I'm talking here. But I will double check. I looked at the submission page and everything that came through should have gotten a response email. So again, there may have been I have noticed that some people, when they're submitting their submissions, their emails are not matching up with the emails that they originally signed up with. There's typos, so that may be the issue with you not getting a response email. It was sent to the typo address and not the email address that you submitted. So again, if you find that when after I have submitted all the grades and you're like, hey, I didn't get a grade, send me an email. We can look at your project together and we can get it. We can get a grade. I'm not here to trick you. I'm not here to punish you. Okay. So it's okay. I had someone contact me today and say, Um, I submitted a project. I didn't like what I submitted. I want to submit something else. Can I do that? And yes. All right. Again, you know, often as a writing teacher, I have found that the minute I turn in a piece of writing, that's when I think of about 10 more things I want to say. And I would like this to be a place where you can say, okay, I want to pull that back and say those things. Okay. Um, and you can, if you're worried about, Batul just asked a question. I didn't get a response email and I'm worried. Can we resubmit? Yeah, that's fine. You know, redundancy is never a bad thing. And that's always a good lesson for just in general. When you're doing your submission of your scholarship applications, things like this, wouldn't be bad thing to double, to submit it a second time. All right. Um, if someone gets mad at you for that overkill, you're just covering your ass, and I think that's a good thing. So, so that is the midterm. I should be getting those grades to you within a week or two. Again, I am, I am, I always say with grading, and it's more so with writing. Watching your videos will be a little easier than grading writing, but I always say that I'm not going to do that when I'm in a bad mood, just because I'm not going to take it out on you. However, that's my 20-year rule, and I think that with the video projects, there should be a quicker turnaround than with essays. Um, all right. Any other questions that are coming through about the midterm? I'm watching here. And so as we move through the semester, the second half of the semester is going to be focusing on the final project. And I started getting questions today in office hours about the side quests. I will be posting the side quests next week. Okay, I'll post those on TikTok, and then I will put those in the YouTube channel in the shorts. I think is where it goes. And then I will also put those on the website. Okay, so that those people who go to the website will have access to those. Again, redundancy. They'll be on the YouTube channel, they'll be on the TikTok channel, and they'll be on the website. Those side quests are going to prepare you for the final project, which is another video, and that's the food anthropology project, which we're going to be looking at all the 20th century resources that I've made available on the website. Which Shy today, went through and cleaned up that resources page so that if you're accessing it on a mobile device, you should be able to access those a little easier. All right. The 20th century resources are going to help you prepare for the final project, which is a food anthropology project, where you're going to be looking at uh, choosing a representative food artifact of a given decade in a given social class. So, and the side quests are going to be just like the midterm side quests. The first one is going to be kind of more personal, asking you about your own favorite nostalgic food from childhood. And the second side quest is going to be kind of more general or theoretic, kind of pointing you towards the project itself. And I'm going to be asking you about the most interesting or fascinating thing that you have found about the decade that you're researching, because you're going to be researching these decades that you probably didn't live in. Some of you may luck out and you may get the 80s or 90s or early 2000s, and you happen to be a child in that time. But the history of the time and the events that happened during that time, you probably didn't recognize. When you think about your childhood, even those of you who've grown up in tumultuous areas or tumultuous times, um, we remember the way that our brains work, nostalgia works, we remember Elmo, or we remember playing football or soccer, or we remember the doll that we had or the toy that we had. We don't always remember the tumultuous times in which were around us. So when we think about our childhood, we may focus on, certain smells, songs, uh, toys, movies, but also food becomes important. So that's where I'm going to be bringing that in, asking you about your favorite childhood food, and then transforming that into um, our historical analysis. Because then when I ask you about, like, even if you grew up in the '90s, like you were a kid in the '90s, you remember purple ketchup, which was a thing in the '90s, um, and you're researching that decade, and you start to realize, oh, that happened. I didn't know that happened. This horrible event, this wonderful event, or even the fact that, these things that you know as history, and you didn't know that you lived through them because you were separated from them. So as we look at that objectively and we start looking at those decades, and you start realizing, oh my God, that happened then. They firebombed an entire neighborhood in Philadelphia in the '80s. Oh my God. I didn't know that that happened. Um, you know, uh, in the '90s, a lot of that history is coming to play in current events. And so all of these things, that we, as a child, rightfully so, we may not even those of us who've grown up in war zones, we don't always recognize the weight of that as a child. Our brains are designed not to. This is where your parents and your protectors and your um uh those in your life that raised you have often told you you're going to hurt yourself. And you go, "No, I'm not." It's because your brain is designed not to know that. And as you get older, those synapses connect and you think, "Oh, that's going to hurt me. That's not going to be good." um when we're younger, we literally don't have the cognitive ability to do that, to make those connections. And some of us do. Some of us think, oh my God, I'm going to die. But a lot of us, biologically, we cannot think that way. And some will argue that that's by design, right? um Plato talked about that with, the idea of memory. So, and as Cheyenne mentioned, there are encyclopedia resources available on the website. So if you go to the resources page, there are video lectures available for the '50s and '60s. There are encyclopedia links for all the different decades, and those give you just kind of a general overview. I hope to make a couple playlists available too on the YouTube channel. Again, of other videos and other resources, explaining some of those times. There are some great resources even on YouTube with. There's an I love the '70s, I love the '80s, I love the '90s VH1 series that they have made available on YouTube. There's National Geographic's, the '90s, the last great American decade. There are all kinds of wonderful documentaries and resources available. Um, but as I was doing even today, on during office hours, I was looking at nostalgic television, looking at commercials from the '80s. Those give you a wonderful view of the culture of the time. So if you want to look at, and this is why I make those available, commercials from the '50s, from the '60s, from the '70s, any whatever decade you're looking at, those are going to give you a good cultural understanding. When I lived overseas in sub-Saharan Africa, one of the first things that I did was watch commercials, because commercials and sitcoms, situation comedies, often will teach you social norms and mores. Because one of the things they do is flip those on their head for the situational comedy. Dad or mom does something abnormal, and that is funny. And by the end of 22 minutes, that social norm is restored and everyone is happy. That's how comedy works. And so as a foreigner in their land, in Ghana, I learned a lot about my host culture by simply observing um, commercials and television, because that is how, think about it, when you were a child, a lot of us learned culture through television. We watched Sesame Street, even so much to the point where the Sesame Street, franchise, um, literally franchises to different cultures and represents their culture within the Sesame Street kind of framework, right? So if you grew up in a different country, you might know Sesame Street in a different way, but in the exact same way, right? So, hey, Marcus, good to see you. So, that's what we're going to be looking at for the final. And so it'll be kind of an exploration in the last kind of half of the 20th century, through food and through culture, music, movies, all of that stuff. So, and it really is weirdly and oddly connected. So there may be, for instance, in the 80s, Pepsi became a number one soda for the first time ever, and never since. Coke got knocked off of the number one soda pop, uh, you know, um, uh, pedestal, and a large part of that had to do with Michael Jackson, and the fact that this music icon, was selling Pepsi, and so much so that Coke launched New Coke, which some people will argue is a conspiracy and it was all a trick. And then they came back with Coca-Cola Classic, and literally cola wars. I mean, there were, they you could go to a mall in the 80s and there might be a dude standing there with little Dixie cups and asking you to try this soda. I want you to take the taste test. Can you tell if it's Coke or Pepsi? Which one tastes better? Right? So uh all of this as part of culture. And in the 50s, you'll see a proliferation of candy because American kids had money and sugar became cheaper. And so therefore, you had money and cheap sugar, kids with money, let's separate that money from those kids. And so you actually had marketing towards children, for candy and products and all these other things. And thus begins kind of, that culture, of snack foods in the States as well. And so you'll see that, throughout, cereal, um, you know, uh, uh, snack foods, for lunches, all of this stuff. Oh, sweet. So you've done this in AP psychology. This is awesome. So this is, humanities, psychology, anthropology, culinary arts. It's all coming together. So that's what we're going to be looking at for our final, for the final half of the semester. So we'll be talking about the 20th century. We might be looking at some television, some films, especially during office hours. I'll probably be doing a lot more pop culture stuff, maybe some 80s playlists, on the Spotify. So if you haven't checked out the Humanities 101 Spotify, I've got some playlists up there now. But I plan on putting up some 80s playlists, maybe some 90s, some 50s, some 60s, 70s, that kind of stuff. So if you have favorite songs, you can always feel free to drop those, to me. Send me an email, send me a suggestion on the website, or even connect up on Spotify, and we can, that's the great thing about Spotify, is that I can add you and you can help edit the playlist. So if you're interested in music, um, I know that some people are, music production majors, that kind of stuff. We can collaborate and make, again, it's a learning community. So I know songs you don't know, you know songs I don't know. And that's the cool thing. Um, that's what we'll be doing the second half of the semester. Again, office hours will be, Monday and Wednesday, 3 to 4 on TikTok. Um, uh, like I said, hopefully the office hours this last half of the semester will be a little bit more interactive. If you ever want to come up during office hours, feel free to request. Sometimes it's easier. You don't have to go on camera. You only need 200 followers, so feel free to do that. Uh, yeah. So let's see. Other questions, other concerns. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really do too. And then hopefully as well, maybe we can get some people, if people are interested in maybe talking one night here, I would like to have maybe a student panel. We've got a lecture coming up in 2 weeks. And if students are interested, if you are interested in having a conversation, you do not have to be on camera as well, even if you come up here. It will I think Shy, if you give me a thumbs up, isn't that right? You don't have to be on camera here, even in StreamYard, right? There would be a big letter with your name, but it doesn't matter. All right. I can move around for all of us. All right. So if you are interested, we'd have an open discussion about, um, what issues are concerning you today? What are the problems of being a student, or even a student human student? I don't know. We'll have to figure that one out. But if you'd like to have an open forum, maybe in 2 weeks, that'd be something that we could do. I think we could even rotate, through, if there were multiple people interested. If there's no one interested, that's fine as well. But if that's something that you may want to come up and chat, and talk about the issues that concern students today, in 2 weeks, then drop me a line, send me an email. I can always coordinate with you, and I simply send you a link. You don't have to have any fancy equipment. A cell phone works, and as long as you're in a quiet place, that you can be heard, you can plug in headphones and all that other stuff. That's all you need. You don't need good lighting. You don't need green screens. You don't need anything fancy. That's the wonderful benefit of this 21st century, and that's one of the reasons why I took this class online, is the ability to interact in real time everywhere. And if you haven't checked out, the interview with Fatima Nakata on the YouTube channel, I've put the shorts up. Shai helped edit, and Shai did a wonderful job of editing out the interview into shorts. But the full interview is going to premiere after this lecture tonight, where the final interview questions will premiere, and those are the fun ones with the favorite curse words and all of that other stuff. That will be premiering tonight. You do not have to watch it when it premieres. Again, it will be live and available to you. I hope to get another interview in before the end of the semester. It's been a little harder to schedule those, just because it seems like everyone's super uber busy. I've got a couple social media, kind of celebrities that I've been trying to get um, nailed down to dates, but that seems to be hard with their schedules. It seems like everybody's having these work shuffles, and everybody's getting different schedules at work. So I don't know what's going on in corporate America, but they're like they're changing everybody's schedules lately. Um, again, if you have suggestions, ideas, there's always a suggestion box on Humanities 101. So you can, drop suggestions. I see people, giving suggestions for artists to check out, things of that nature. So feel free, let me know. I'll be writing that down and checking that out. But there's a suggestion box. So if you know of things I should be seeing, videos I should be looking at, you can always send those to the Humanities 101 website, but you can also send those via message on the TikTok, on if you're connected on TikTok, because I know a lot of people have been tagging and sending videos there, which is wonderful, because again, it's a way that we can communicate. And of course, Norman is going to start barking now. Norman, what are you barking at? I don't like that freaks me out when the dog starts barking at the corner of the room and there's nothing standing there. Like, yeah. Right. Come over here, bud. Hold on one second. Okay. Dog maintenance complete. All right. Are there any other questions? Any other concerns? I saw the final exam question. I believe that that date is already up there on the website. I could be wrong, but I believe it's already on the website. If not, I will put it up there. I think it is December. It's like the day before that, the last um, lecture. What is it? The 5th or the 6th? Yeah, I think it's the 5th of December is when remember the 5th of December. So it will be a month from this coming Monday. And that gives me time to grade. And then also it'll be due that day before the last lecture so that we can that last lecture will be just kind of a um, um, celebration of the class, celebration of everything, and closing out the semester. And then also you can focus on your other classes if you have other classes. I'm in the process of grading the midterms, people. As I said, I was gone all weekend. Um, so you turned in your midterms, but I was gone all weekend. Because again, life happens, right? Teachers don't live in the library. I live in my basement. No, no, no. And so um I will be getting your projects graded. I'll be viewing those and getting those back to you. Okay. In the next week or so. I hope to have those graded. I'll be posting grades for credit students through the school website. For non-credit students, I'll be posting those to your email. Okay. Um, a meeting. Tomorrow's Thursday. Meeting. I'm missing something. No, there's no, I don't think there's a meeting tomorrow. I have a meeting tomorrow, but that's for the city. That's not for school. That's for my, yeah. I just thought, wow, Delia knows my schedule. I'm kidding. All right. No, there won't be a live. No, the lives again, the schedule is posted on the website. The next lecture is in 2 weeks. And then we have roughly every 2 weeks, but you'll notice that there's a 3 week break between the last, the second to last and the last lecture. And that's only because Thanksgiving weekend, or, I'm not going to go live the night before Thanksgiving just because, I know that a lot of people will be traveling. I'll be traveling, I think, or I'll be cooking a turkey. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I'll be told shortly what my assignment is for Thanksgiving, and I will execute it with aplomb and humility. All right. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Yes. Office hours Monday, Wednesday, 3 to 4 on TikTok. The next lecture will be in 2 weeks. I will be talking about 20th century, in the food anthropology project. But also, as I mentioned, if students would like to come up, talk about issues that are concerning them, or also we can also talk about your projects because if you go on the website right now and you use your first name and your last name, you will see that you are already assigned a decade and a social class. So you use those two initials and you will see, oh, there's your decade and there's your social class. So as we start talking about these decades, you can kind of focus in and hone in on your particular decade. So that way, if let's say you got the 60s, well, for the next month or so, um, you know, let's tune in and drop out because, you're going to be checking out the 1960s. And if you want to delve deeper into your decade, contact me. Come to office hours. We can talk. The great thing is that we're a multi-generational classroom. So there are classmates who have probably lived through those decades, and we can talk firsthand and share experiences. And that's the great thing. Push comes to shove, I can go and interview, stick a microphone in some boomers' faces and ask them questions for you. Okay. So, just let me know, and anything I can do to help, I'll be happy to do so. So if there are no other questions, wonderful, Miss B. That's awesome. That's awesome. So if there are no other questions, I will, we can have a short night tonight and, have a good next 2 weeks. And I'll be seeing you in the social media realm. Feel free again to contact me. I'm on campus on Tuesdays. I'll be on campus next Tuesday. Um, I would like to. I've been thinking about probably here in the next week or so, and I'll be sending out an email for students who are interested, maybe doing a lunch at the campus restaurant. So if any of the humanities students are interested in meeting on campus in person, doing that kind of informal kind of meet and greet thing. So if that's something you're interested in as well, send me an email and we can. I'll start setting that up some Tuesday or Wednesday. And if you don't know, we have a wonderful restaurant on campus for those students who are on campus. Um, so, more information to come. I'll keep you updated and keep you posted. And I hope everybody has a great night. All right. See you guys later.